If you've spent the last few evenings scrolling through endless rows of AV receivers, comparing power ratings, HDMI versions, and brand promises, and still feel like you're one step away from a decision that could either upgrade your whole home theater experience or leave you stuck with a box that never quite clicks, this review is here to clear the fog. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I'm going to walk through what the high-power Class AB AV receiver with HDMI 2.1 from Arcam actually brings to a real living room setup, where the money you spend turns into usable performance, and why, despite all the hype, it might still be the wrong choice for some people. Let's start with the situation most of us find ourselves in. We have a decent 4K TV, maybe a couple of bookshelf speakers, and a desire to watch the latest games or movies with the best possible soundstage. The temptation is to chase the highest wattage numbers you see in marketing copy, assuming that more power automatically means louder, clearer, or more immersive audio. In reality, the power spec of an AV receiver is only useful if it matches the efficiency and size of your speakers, and if the rest of the signal chain can keep up. The high-power Class AB model is marketed as a high-power unit, but what that really means is that it uses a traditional Class AB output stage, which tends to deliver smoother, more linear power delivery compared to the newer Class D designs, especially at lower volumes where many listeners spend most of their time. I set this unit up in a mid-size family room, about 15 feet from the screen, with 2 floor-standing speakers, a center channel, and a modest pair of rear surrounds. The first thing I noticed after connecting the HDMI 2.1 inputs was how the receiver handled the extra bandwidth. When I played a 4K 120Hz game from the latest console, the video stayed crisp, and there was no noticeable lag or drop in frame sync, something that older HDMI 2.0 receivers sometimes struggle with when they're forced to downsample. The receiver also supported eARC, so the TV could send high-resolution audio back to it without needing a separate optical cable. That convenience alone saved me a tangle of wires and a second HDMI switch that I'd otherwise have to install. On the audio side, the Class AB topology really shone when I dialed the volume down to a comfortable movie night level. The bass was tight, the mid-range stayed articulate, and the speakers didn't sound pushed or strained. In a quick test with a dialogue-heavy drama, the voices were clear even when the background score swelled, which is a practical indicator that the receiver's internal processing isn't masking detail in an attempt to sound big. For music lovers, the built-in DAC handled a high-resolution FLAC file from a streaming service without any audible artifacts, no hiss, no digital coldness. In short, the sound quality matches what you would expect from a mid-range home theater system that has a solid amplification stage. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The first is heat. Because this is a Class AB unit, it runs hotter than a comparable Class D model. In a tightly packed entertainment center, the receiver warmed up noticeably after a couple of hours of 4K gaming. That's not a deal-breaker, but it means you need enough ventilation space behind the unit, and you might consider a small fan or a more open shelf if you plan on long gaming sessions. The second trade-off is size. The chassis is larger than many modern slimline receivers, so if you have a compact cabinet, you'll need to double-check dimensions before buying. Finally, the user interface leans heavily on a traditional on-screen menu accessed via the remote. It's functional, but not as slick or as quickly navigable as the touchscreen apps you find on some competitor models. If you're used to dragging sliders on a phone to set speaker levels, you'll spend a few extra minutes learning the menu hierarchy. Who should buy this Arcam? If you already own reasonably efficient speakers, say, bookshelves or floor standers that can handle a few hundred watts total, and you value a smooth, natural sound at low to medium volume, the Class AB amplification is a real asset. It also makes sense for anyone who needs the HDMI 2.1 bandwidth now, whether that's for high framerate gaming, 8K video, or the latest Dolby Atmos formats that demand extra data lanes. The receiver's robust power supply and stable eARC implementation also make it a safe bet for a future-proof home theater, especially if you plan to upgrade your TV or add a high-end soundbar later. Who should skip it? If you're building a minimalist setup with compact bookshelf speakers that only need a few watts, you'll likely never tap the extra power headroom, and a Class D receiver could give you the same sound quality with less heat and a smaller footprint. Likewise, if your primary use is streaming music through a networked system and you rarely watch movies or play games, the HDMI 2.1 features become overkill, and you could find a cheaper receiver that still supports the basic audio formats you need. Finally, if